Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
Boy, this has been a fast hour. So we are in our final segment now, and joining me is a longtime friend of Real News PR, Tonia Tomlin. We've known each other for years, haven't we?
For about 14 years.
About 14 years,
yeah,
back when I was still a TV reporter. So Tonia is a professional organizer. Sortedout.com is her website. I'm fascinated to learn how this all began. I mean, were you organized as a child?
You know, I was always organized as a child, and it occurred to me, and it was like an aha moment. I was at home in Wyoming, where I'm from, in Gillette, Wyoming, and I went to my mom's basement, and I found all of my memorabilia from when I was a child, and it was all labeled by year. Kindergarten, first grade, all up until high school. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow.
So it was that aha moment. And I just felt so relieved that, okay, all of these years I have been preparing for this career.
I mean, do you remember being a little girl and having your room neat and having your dolls in order or describe
Absolutely. All of my high school friends always joke, I remember you wanted to come to my house and wanted to clean my room and organize my room. So, because I always had an orderly house and I grew up in a very orderly home. So I always wanted to give that gift to my friends, and sometimes they weren't so excited.
Well, I know the career of professional organizer has been around for a long time, but it may be like new to some of the people listening. So describe, what does a professional organizer do?
A professional organizer comes into your home or to your business and assesses the needs that you're having trouble with in a particular area. So it could be your office, it could be your kitchen, it could be your pantry, any other particular home that you're just kind of feeling stuck. And a professional organizer will look at those spaces and find more efficient ways of being organized and help develop a system.
And I know TV shows like Hoarders and stuff have really put a spotlight on a problem. I mean, some people just can't throw stuff away.
Yes. And with Hoarders, and Sorted Out is certified through the ICD, which is the Institute for Challenging Disorganization. And there is a real disease with hoarders. And there's chronic disorganization. And with hoarders, you really have to find somebody who's qualified. And it is very psychological. It could be their OCD. There's just a lot of different things that go along with that. So we do have a professional organizer with my company who specializes in that for those people who might struggle with hoarding.
Well, I know I've heard stories about people who grew up during the Depression and their parents never threw away even string, and so they have balls of string in their garage. I mean, do you run across people like that?
We do, and people who they feel stuck. They feel like they're not worthy. Their things matter, but they don't know how to overcome all this stuff. So it becomes a process. We work with psychologists and psychiatrists to get them the proper help. And then we work with them one-on-one and help them overcome their disorganization and their hoarding issues.
I heard a saying once: if you haven't used it in a year or 2 years, throw it out. Or do you have a philosophy about that?
There's a lot of different organizing philosophies. I'm in the philosophy of, let's customize a plan for you. At Sorted Out, we're not going to make you throw away your things. I think if something is really near and dear to your heart, let's find a solution to keep it archival safe. So we're not going to make you get rid of a shirt that you hadn't worn in 2 years. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out why you're hanging on to it. There could be an emotional story to it, but it might be you've only worn it once and you spent $100 on it, and that's why you don't want to get rid of it. But let's get down to the bottom of it, because once you process through how you need to get rid of something, then it becomes easier to let it go.
What's the first step?
The first step to getting organized is realizing that you have an organizational issue. Okay, let's just be real. We want to help people that want to be helped. And then the second step is you can have a clutter companion, which I love that. You don't always have to hire a professional organizer, but we do want to help people. So you can have a clutter companion, or you can hire a professional organizer to help assess your needs. And then you want to start small.
Are you typically called by the husband or the wife?
Well, it depends on the situation. It could be the husband's calling because he wants his wife to be more organized in the closet or the bathroom because they share a community space. But a lot of times it's women calling us because they're, so overwhelmed with all the activities and really being the CEO of their household.
Mm.
And they're very, overwhelmed and just there's not enough time in the day. So we help give them that time back and we reduce the stress and a lot of time save them money.
And I know you have partners that you work with, and you're working with a company that I love, Callbox Storage.
I love Callbox Storage. It is so awesome. They are Uber for your storage, and that's how I explain it to my customers. In fact, I was with a customer yesterday, and we had packed up all of her Christmas decorations, and Callbox came last Monday, picked all of her stuff up, and they're storing it for her, and she didn't have to lift a finger.
And it's really cool because then when you want your stuff back, you can just punch up your iPad and say, I need this box back.
Yes, they have a great inventory program that, you can say, I need box A, box B, or whatever, and then they bring it to you within a couple days.
So for the people listening, like you said, they don't have to throw it away in a dumpster. You can just move it out of the house and you get your house back.
Yes, you get your house back, and I call it a temporary box or a transition box or transition storage because they might be renovating. They might have received heirlooms from family members that have passed and they can't let go of it because they just haven't had time to deal with it. That's a great way to store their items in the interim.
And it's not just the home, it's also the office, right? I mean, you probably run into some people who are pack rats and now they've become an eyesore in the office.
Yes, I actually did a office invasion on Good Morning Texas about a year ago. And that was really fun because they had all these memorabilia and promotional items and, they weren't using anything, but it was really fun conversation pieces. So it was a great time to declutter. And, we did store a lot of items too that need to be boxed up for keepsake.
Well, in terms of just how people perceive somebody who's organized versus somebody who's disorganized, it can reflect poorly on the individual if there's a bunch of clutter, right? If I was going to go see an attorney and I go into his or her office and there's just stacks and stacks of paper and doesn't it reflect poorly on the...
It really does. I mean, it's a professional. What is the type of professionalism that you're trying to portray to your client? If I had a messy office, I can certainly tell you I probably wouldn't have a lot of professional organizing clients. So,
Right.
It's the act of, having a place for everything, being able to access what you need, and having that professional office so your clients feel that they can trust you.
Okay, what does your home look like?
Well, I think my home's pretty organized. I think my husband would say oh my God, this is so, we have a place for everything. And believe me, if it's out of place, she's going to tell you where it goes.
Is your clothing alphabetized? I mean,
Just color order.
Just color order, yeah. My wife is too. She's very organized.
And I just feel like in the mornings when, for myself and for my children and my family, if there's a home for everything, I feel like just the mornings go a lot smoother.
Yes.
So,
and you're more efficient, aren't you?
Yeah,
Let's talk
more
about
efficient. And the average person wastes about 2 hours a week looking for things. So if I could give you 2 hours back, I mean, wouldn't that make you so happy?
Right. I bet you have some horror stories. You don't have to name names, but have you been to some homes where like there's a pathway and there's junk on one side and junk on the other?
Yes. And, I could write another book about just client stories, which would be pretty awesome. But I feel like in those spaces, I just have to have good eye contact with them because I don't want them to be shamed because of their things. I really want to help walk them through the process of being organized. And once they trust you, then you can help them overcome that.
And we're working with you on a DFW Messiest Garage contest right now. Why don't you explain that?
Yes, we are working with Callbox Storage for the messiest DFW garage. So if you have a messy garage and you can't park your car in there, you have a bunch of stuff that's just, landed in there. It's kind of like your junk storage area. We want to see your picture so we can select the winner. We're going to be doing that next week. And you can go to the Callbox Storage Facebook page. And we are going to be organizing for this lucky winner. And they're going to get a brand new garage with Alpha storage, and Callbox is going to store all the items, and we're going to do the organizing for a lucky winner.
I love it. Is January typically a busy month for you?
It really is. January, it's Get Organized Month nationally, and everybody wants to hold to those New Year's resolutions and just get organized and be efficient and just check off the list.
And I've got to brag on you because you're quite the entrepreneur. You grew this company from just you a few years ago, and now you have, describe it.
I started Sorted Out in 2004, so we're going on 14 years now, and I started out by myself. I did HGTV, Good Morning Texas, Fox 4, Channel 11, branded myself, just by myself, and then I started hiring subcontractors, and now, there's 9 of us, and here we are organizing DFW, and we're also traveling across the country. I'm a guest speaker at an annual meeting in Atlanta, and then we're doing workshops for people and actually physically organizing for large companies now. So
you do a lot of public speaking, and I had the pleasure of hearing Tonia speak a few months ago, and it was interesting. She was speaking to some of my colleagues, and it really resonated. So
it resonated, and it's something that everybody can take value from because everybody wants to save time and everybody wants to save money and people want to reduce the stress in their life. And that's what we can provide as a professional organizing company.
Do you find, is there one room in the house that is typically the messiest or do?
Probably the office because there's so much paper and people have, bills to pay, child's paperwork to file. There's a lot of things that land in the office that people find as action items and then maybe never actually get to those action items. And so that's where we come in to help define their goals and priorities.
And I know you also work with realtors because if you're going to sell a house, you can't sell that house with that giant moose head in the middle of the that room.
Declutter before you move for sure because people want to see their things in your home. So we definitely do a lot of decluttering before people want to put their home on the market.
I know some couples will have a storage room. They'll just have one room in the house, and they'll just throw all their stuff in there. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it's a bad idea. That's why I recommend call box storage because I really like the fact that I can move out all of those things so then we can have an organized office or playroom or supply room or whatever it is that's important to them to organize at that time.
What's been the biggest job you've done in the last 14 years?
The biggest job I've done in the last 14 years was, I would say, have to be a Highland Park tear-down home, 5,000 square foot home, and everything needed to be organized and prepared to move. And then actually doing the move. This is before, probably 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to get everything in the house organized, and the client was not there. And then it was the house was torn down.
Wow.
So we did that in about 3 weeks.
Is that right? And that was, when you say we, it wasn't just you.
Sorted out.
The whole team.
The whole team. Like I took everybody I had, and it was in the dead of summer, and it was awful. But it was definitely a huge accomplishment.
All right, we've got about a minute left, so tell people how they can get a hold of you.
They can get a hold of me at my website, sortedout.com, sortedout.com, or they can email me at Tonia@sortedout.com, 214-868-3862.
Awesome. Well, this has been a great show. And
thank you for having me. It was fun.
We'll have to have you back. And we'll see you next week.